Hello! Welcome to the lecture video. Thank you for being here. You are doing the right thing by watching this. It's going to help you continue with the material in our class in this time where you really need to take a lot of responsibility for your progress here. I've left you all the tools that you could need and use to achieve these goals, but it's up to you to actually use them. So thank you for watching. Alright, so this is just going to work a lot like class. I'm going to introduce some new material. We're going to do it together. I might ask you to pause the video to achieve certain tasks, and then somewhere I will tell you what the homework is going to be so you can start working on that. Alright, and the portal for this first video will close on the 5th. So this video will technically be substituting, I think, class on the 4th, but I would like you to watch it earlier, ideally, so that you can have more time to practice if you need it. Okay, without further ado, let's do our first activity. We're going to work on speed learning a chart. So I'm not going to call it sight reading because we're going to do it in a couple steps, but let's say you got a chart, a lead sheet, maybe the day before you need to play it, and this is kind of a way you can process it so you know what to do, so you can prepare it to play with the soloist or with a class, right? So what would we do if we had someone covering the melody? We need to support them with harmony, bass, time, and rhythm. And let's assume this is for a class. All right, but same ideas for any sort of accompaniment. So we're looking at page 125, that's 125. This is Bingo from the class song section. So it should be right next to Down by the Bay, Buenos Dias, Clapping Land, and Down by the Station, which you're all very familiar with. All right, so we've got Bingo. First, we need to process what key is this in, and what's our solfege. So we have G, C, G, D7, G. All right, the main indicator for what key you're in is the 5-7 chord. That will always be directing you to the 1. So 5-7 is D, we have to be in the key of G, at least at this point in the song. If you look at some more complicated songs, that key center can change, but for this we only have 1, it's G. Also we have F sharp in the key signature. Right. What's our first scale degree or solfege syllable? We have a D, so that will be sol. So we're going to sing this first in solfege to get that part of our brain engaged with scale degree and key area. All right, so you ready to do solfege? Let's try it. Sol, do. 1 and go. Sol, do. Obviously, we should not take extra time on sol. That was my mistake, but you get the idea. Okay, let's keep going. So now we have an idea of where our big leaps are. This is helpful if we're going to need to transpose for the kids, right? Maybe they can't sing that high. Or maybe you're trying to play along with, you're trying to help the trumpet section. They have this in C, so you need to play in B flat. Right, so this will help us transpose. Now we know it goes sol, do. So we can start transposing this to different places. Okay, next step, we're going to work out the chords. So we need a G chord. Wow, that's an awful lot like our CPE that we've done over and over and over again. So use the same process. Do a first inversion chord in your right hand, B, D, G, and G in the left. Go to C, back to G, D7, right, 1, 2, 4, back to G. So we're using things our hands already know how to find. The one thing we don't usually do is go from the 4 chord to the 5-7, but this is going to be used all the time moving forward, so no time to learn it like right now. Okay, so let's start with really simple. We're just going to play two chords in the right hand per measure and our bass notes. So like this. Oops. One more time. quarter note chord, half note, and the bass. Let's try it. 1 and go. There was a farmer had a dog and his name Okay, if you couldn't keep up with me there, take a moment, pause the video, practice it a little bit, and then join me again when you're ready. All right, let's try this one more time. And please, while you're doing this, I would like you to sing. So we all know the words to this. There was a farmer, had a dog, and Bingo was his name. Oh. Right, so you can either sing the words or sing in solfege still, but we want to start being able to hear that melody while we're playing our accompaniment. So, let's try it. Basic chords and sing. 1 and go. There was a farmer, had a dog, and Bingo was his name. Okay, good. So if you're there, great. If you're not, take a couple minutes, work that out, and then join back in. Okay, next step. Let's make this a little more nuanced accompaniment, right? That's pretty blocky and pretty, it's not very musically inspiring, and it doesn't really fit super well with how the words work. So this is a really wordy song. There's a syllable every 8th note almost, except when there's not, and we need to make that distinction. So we've been using this boom chuck kind of accompaniment. I think this is another great candidate for that because it helps us kind of keep it moving along, right? And it's a very kind of happy, peppy song. So let's use that boom chuck. Now the question, are we gonna do this on the boom chuck on the quarter or on the 8th note? For me, when I just listen to this, I immediately want to go on the 8th note because that kind of fits. This song feels more like in 4 beats, just the way the words work out. There was a farmer, had a dog, and Bingo was his name. Right, if we just go 1 per measure, we're not going to be able to get through our 2 chord measures very well. Notice the chords are changing on 1 and 3, or not 1 and 3, beat 1 and 2 on the 2nd measure, as well as others. So to keep up with the chord changes, as well as the kind of forward momentum of the song, let's do this boom chuck on an 8th note. So I'm going left, right, twice per measure. All right, so let's try it that way. 1 and 2 and 1 and go. There was a farmer, had a dog, and Bingo was his name. Oh, all right, good. So again, if you can't do that yet, pause, take a moment. This should all be pretty straightforward. Okay, so next step. There's a couple nuances here, and I think if we follow those different rhythms, we're gonna help our students get the timing really well. So, because what we play at the piano gives them all these kind of subconscious cues about how to sing and how to play their instruments. So, to help them get the difference from the 8th note to the quarter note that you see at measure 4, let's play quarter note chords there, like this. There was a farmer, had a dog, and Bingo was his name. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm copying the rhythm of the singing just on the bingo measures to help out the students kind of feel that rhythmic shift. All right, so let's try it together. So I'm doing quarter, quarter, 8th, 8th quarter, okay, to fit what they're doing. And when I do the quarter notes, we're going to do hands together. Bum, 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 bum. 1, 2, ready, go. There was a farmer had a dog, and Bingo was his name. Okay, great. So we just went through how to do another lead sheet. So now we're reapplying the same concepts that we used to do Down by the Bay and also our classic Down by the Station. All right, so on your own as part of the homework, I'd like to hear this in the key of F. So please transpose down to F, and I'd like to hear this with either singing the words or singing solfege. Great, let's move on. Let's shift gears and look at our collaborative piece or the accompaniment piece. So we'll be working on, again, long ago, page 63 in your book. And notice here that we have the same piece written out in 1, 2, 3 other keys. The purpose of this is so that the non-C instrument you might be accompanying can just read one of these in order to match you. So this time, instead of the piano adjusting for them, the F, B flat, or E flat instrument will adjust to the piano. So we've got, the first one is in D. That's for trumpet or any B flat instrument, because since they sound on B flat, when they see a C, they will sound a B flat. So if we write for them a D, they'll sound a whole step up and they will now match the C. Okay, so we're compensating to get the trumpet to compensate and match the piano. It needs to go up, right? The piano always goes down to match the trumpet or the lower pitched instrument, and the lower pitched instrument goes up to match the piano. So this one time we're doing the opposite of what we normally do in our transposition exercises. All right, let's look, and then we have A. This is for the E flat instrument. So if we're playing from an E flat instrument and we see a C, you'll hear an E flat. So if instead we're given an A, now we're on a C, the octave below. So now we're matching again. And then here we have the key of G. This is for the F instrument. So when the F instrument sees a C on the page, they will sound an F. So if we give them G instead, a fifth above what a C, it's a fifth above C, now they will play a fifth higher and they'll match us at C. All right, good. So if your partner is going to do French horn in F, then they can play this fourth excerpt on page 64. Okay. Remember as well that both partners will need to do the solo role and do the accompaniment role. So make sure you each know what instrument you want to do. Maybe you both end up playing in C instruments for both of them, and that's fine. Either way, now you have your already transposed options. Right, and if none of these work for your instrument, it's up to you to make the adjustments you need to. I know you guys have the tools to do that. Even if that means transposing the piano part, that is totally fine. If you'd like to, instead of thinking of these ones, move the piano part to match your pitched non-C instrument, that works as well. Okay, so let's review our accompaniment. We're going to start by blocking the chords and doing one hit per every 2 beats. That will help us make the chord changes. Remember, these chords we wrote in class, I'll call them as we go. These are your baseline. You can make it more complicated if you'd like, but these function, and I'd like you, if you're gonna make it more complicated, just be sure that you're still able to convey the original feel of the piece. All right. For example, it should not become a minor sounding piece because you changed the way you changed the chords. All right, let's begin. In C, 1, 2, ready, go. right, good. Let's add another thing. If that was too hard for you, please take a moment, pause, and practice on your own so you're at this level. Okay, now let's add more attention to our dynamic. So this time through, I've been lighter on it in the past, but I'm really going to be listening and grading on dynamic so that we really start to play. I really want you to play music at the piano and not just notes. Okay, so that means we're going to have nice phrases that start a little softer, grow, and then decrescendo again. And then as you see at this piece, we have our first and second phrase start a mezzo forte. That's measure 1-5. However, at measure 9, in measure 9, we're going to start forte, fade out, and then piano at 11 to contrast that forte one, right? It's a very popular thing. When you say A twice in a song, you usually change the dynamic. That's a popular compositional tool to create interest. So we'll do that, and then we'll come back in at forte after that phrase. Remember, even though it's forte, we shouldn't have a really aggressive sound. We want it to still be lovely and warm. And really, a lot of making that warmer sound at the piano comes just from intent. And the more you play, the more your body learns how to make the sound that you're hearing in your ear. Okay? So let's try this again with the blocked chords, but we're going to try to be a little more musical this time. And as we go, please also be singing along, either on do or in solfege. 1, 2, ready, go. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, sol, mi. Sol, fa, mi, re. Fa, mi, re, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, sol, mi. Sol, fa, mi, re. Fa, mi, re, do. Sol, fa, mi, re. Sol, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Sol, fa, mi, re. Sol, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, sol, mi. Sol, fa, mi, re, do. Good. So you're probably wondering, why do we have to sing? I'm not a singer. I mean, because everyone sings at Crane, right? But the reason is it's going to help you key into the musicality internally so that you can make it happen through your instrument, because your voice is your first instrument, so you key in with your voice and then it gets through to your hands, okay? So what I was doing there is imitating the dynamic change and the phrasing with my voice. So if that was difficult, I'd like you to take a moment, and even if it's not difficult, do this a couple more times. Sing with yourself with solfege to make sure you're on pitch. I've noticed some pitch struggle in our classes before. So please sing this with solfege to help you even out your pitch. And copy the phrase with your voice and your hands as you go. All right, so take a few minutes to work on that. Singing and playing, really paying attention to phrase and dynamic. All right, now I want to briefly talk about gesture. So when we're doing this layer of Unit 3, I'd like you to enter in together without counting off. So we're not going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, right? What we want to have instead is a breath in. So how are we going to make this work? So one big thing that I learned as a collaborative pianist is to do a good sniff. So when you're ready, make eye contact. And then you go. So your sniff is on the upbeat. So you come down, right? And it's usually accompanied with a lift. So you look at your partner, okay? Right. Another way though is if you're not cueing at the piano, for example, the other instrumentalist is cueing, they might lift their instrument, right? If we have clarinets, flutes, saxophones, any wind instrument that's easily held, those are really good candidates to just lift and go. So now you're almost conducting with your instrument. String players may also do this, right? So it's the upbeat and down. Just like our conductors go up, down, we nod up, down, the upbeat, the downbeat. So what are the key components of this? We have the up on the last beat before we want to begin. We have eye contact, and we have an understanding of kind of the expected tempo before. We must also enter playing at that tempo. I have students all the time, not so much in the university, but it happens, where you count in and then you start playing at a totally different tempo. So we must be prepared to actually play the tempo that we've commenced with. All right, so let's try this. We're gonna come in on the downbeat. And just for the sake of what we're doing here, I'm going to count to 3, and then on 4, I will stop counting and you can cue, okay? Just to help us be together here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's try again. We're gonna do it 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to start playing we're gonna play through the first 4 measures. We're gonna make eye contact. Okay, so the trick here as well is audiating your tempo before you start. So we're not counting out loud. Just like when you're in a good choir, you don't hum the starting pitch before you begin, right? You think it and then you sing. So we're thinking 1, 2, 3, breath. But we're not going to show 1, 2, 3. It's going to be all internal. Again, follow along with me. Okay, thinking. So that's the idea with our cue, our non-counted cue, where we have 2 hands on the piano and can't go this way. And I'm sure you have experience from this on your other instruments, so just carry this on to the piano, all those best practices. So it's your responsibility to plan a time to meet with your collaborative partner and practice this cue, and then we'll have video submission for the test. Let's go on to transposition for today. So as we are doing our F horn transposition, we're also starting to look at open score reading. That means reading multiple staves at a time. And this is going to be really big, right, for teaching your band and orchestra classes. Let's say you want to show the horn section what this should all sound like together. You can't just pick up 3 horns and play them all at once, right? This is why the piano is useful, because you can play all the parts at once here. But that is a whole skill in itself. So we're going to keep working on that. And we're going to take examples that are more straightforward, but start to challenge you to read both lines at once. Now, I personally had to learn this on the job when I started accompanying choir as part of my graduate TA program. And it was a bit of a learning curve. So I'm going to give you the tips that helped me along, that I kind of learned from doing it, as well as just general guidelines that we've been doing already. So first, let's look at page 24. So please turn to page 24. And we're going to look at example 3 for horn in F number 1 and number 2. So our goal for this class, we're going to try to play this hands together, or both parts together, for the first 8 lines. Now these examples aren't too bad. A lot of the notes match in really understandable ways. There's no accidentals. And also what's helpful is our hands aren't crossing. What will happen in some music, you'll see, is that the parts will be, one is lower, one is higher, and then they'll crisscross. That's when things get really mentally confusing, but we'll work on that later on. So let's start with something where there's no crisscrossing, except places where maybe they play the same note. So I want you right now to skim through your score and look for places where there's a big leap that you think you might have a hard time finding the note. So take a moment, pause the video, go through your score, first 8 bars, both lines, and circle and write in the solfege or scale degree for those places where there's a big leap you feel like you might lose. Maybe it's somewhere where it goes into ledger lines or something of that nature. So I'll pause the video and do that. All right, now let's see. So one that I've marked, which I would recommend, is measure 2, where it drops down to sol. You've been on do for a while, so your brain's probably kind of shut off a little bit. You're like, oh, I'm just going to be on do forever. But no, we're going to drop to sol on the second big beat of measure 2. So circle that and give it a sol on top. That's what I did in my score. It's also the same in the left hand. So I'm going to draw a connector line between them to remind myself that these are actually the same pitch. All right, let's keep going. And I'm also going to circle measure 3. There's a re, it goes down to, oh, sorry, that's on the next line. I'm circling the one on the ledger line. That's also sol. I'm writing sol for that, because it would be easy as I'm going along in a different key, looking at 2 different parts, to forget that that drops down to sol. Now let's zoom out on these two, this bit of music, the second half of measure 2 and measure 3, and you'll see that this whole piece here is actually a chord. It's a C chord, G, C, E, G, C, C, and it's in second inversion. So I'm going to write C above, a big capital C, to remind myself that this is a C chord being arpeggiated. And it's pretty simple. It's both parts go together until that last note. So our last note, right, we definitely want to write, that's going to be sol and re in the other hand. Now, I did say this is a C chord. It is right now, but what will it be when we transpose? So C is 1 in the key of C, so it's going to become F in the new key. So this will actually be, I'm going to write an F instead, or you can just write a Roman numeral 1. To remind myself, this is going to be an F chord. I think having the actual letter will be more helpful. So you can get that far just thinking I'm doing F, starting on the sol, and going out. And then I need to go to re and sol. So both are going down, but just by step. And that was in the new key. Okay, let's keep going. We start on sol. I wrote that in there, sol, just to make sure I'm on there. You'll see that's an octave leap, but I might not see that while I'm playing, so I'm going to write that in now. Now here, let's note when the hands are not moving, or the lines are not moving in perfect parallel motion. So they're maybe both going up or down, but they're not moving in the same interval. So we have sol, 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 sol in the horn 1 line, or horn 2, and then we have do going up to sol. Oh, excuse me, sol going up to re there. So I'm going to write a little re to help me make that. That stays. The upper line goes stepwise up at the measure end of the first line. The lower line is on sol, 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 and then it goes sol, do, re. So I'm going to write in do there on the second to last note of the first system, just to make sure that I'm ready for that. So what we're doing is we're thinking anywhere that our brain might be delayed or confused as we go, because it's going to be a lot of work to be playing in the new key and also playing 2 parts at once. So we're trying to find anywhere there might be a pitfall and mark that ahead of time. Okay, let's keep going. I'm going to write sol in this top one just because we're moving above the staff, so it's a little harder to read. This is the first note of measure 7, top line. Stepping, stepping. Oh look, the lower line, we started on mi, we were stepping down, and then we make a leap down to sol again. So I'm going to write a sol in there. So I'm ready for that. Go sol, do, sol, mi. Okay. All right, and that gets us to the end of measure 8. So nicely done. Pause the video now, and you can take a moment to write any more of those in if you couldn't keep up there. I know I was moving a little fast. Take a moment. All right, next step. I'd like you to work on each of these hands. So this will also be part of the homework. I want to hear this hands together up to measure 8. So we've marked all the difficult parts. Let's just right now, we'll check both lines together, and then you can go ahead and work on putting hands together on your own. So check our notes. For the top line, we'll start on sol. I'm going to do. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Oh, let me clarify. This is in the new key. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. make sure you've got the B flats for your fas. Good. Okay, so if you need some more time with that, that's fine. Practice that now. Pause the video. All right, moving on with the other line. Let's figure this out. So we're starting again on sol. These are going to be the same note. So maybe pick one thumb to play that. Right, and they'll step out. Both hands are now playing do. So notice as we're analyzing this, we're looking for leaps that might be tricky. We're also looking for how the two lines relate to each other. This is really important. Are my two horns in octaves? Are they in fifths? Are they in thirds? Knowing the interval between the hands is really crucial to helping you put both lines together, because you'll know what to see here, what you should be hearing in that relationship. So let's keep that in mind as we go. We're on sol, horn 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, go. Octaves. Okay, so it gets a little more jumpy at the end. Let's do that last bit one more time, more slowly. So I'm starting after the first fermata at sol. 1, 2, 3, 1, go. Sol, sol. What's our last interval at the fermata? That's going to be a major 6. So we should hear that when we get to the end. So let's start to look at the intervals here. I'm going to circle anywhere where I have, let's start here. So we're going to have an octave bleeding. So I'm going to circle that and put a little 8 in the middle to remind myself this is an octave. What happened there? So this is how you go about it. You start playing, you're like, okay, where did I not understand what was happening next? You think, why did I not get it? I didn't get that because I wasn't ready to move the right directions apart. So I was on sol. This is the second half of measure 2. And I need to step out. I need to make sure I stay on chord tones as I do this one chord. So I'm on sol. I need to make sure I'm stepping out onto chord tones, and that should go down a third, fourth. Okay, so I'm going to try again. So I'm at the middle of the second measure. I'm not too worried about the interval between my hands right now because I'm just following the outline of the F chord. Now left hand continues to go down to sol, right hand steps down to re. Okay, so that'll get you that far. And then you keep going. Okay, what happens next? Left hand jumps up to sol, and let's see. So we're going to meet now at sol in the middle, and right hand, the upper line will step back out to re. Now this is distinct. This is an open fifth. So I'm going to circle this. Like, okay, we should have an open fifth right here. Fifth. Writing that in. So this is how you go about it. You enjoy those repeated notes, and then once you see things start to move, try it out and figure out what you need to keep in mind in order to make those motions happen properly. Okay, so part 2 of the homework. I want to hear this hands together all the way to measure 8. Okay? And remember, this homework video is due by the 5th, and it will be graded for 100 points. All right, so this is part 2. We have one more thing to go. All right, finally, the arabesque. So if things went to plan in class on Tuesday, then we already talked about how to play the coda. So next step, This whole thing needs to first be at about, you want to start with about 50 to 60% final tempo, with playing it exactly how you want it, exactly with the precise articulations and overall feeling and dynamics that you're hoping for. So once you have that, then you start to ramp up the speed. So first, to get that started, I'm just going to play it for you again at 50%, at about 60% tempo. I'm going to set my metronome to 50. So even more. Let's do 55. The minimum tempo for the test is going to be 95. So we're doing 55. The goal is to play through this whole thing at 55 with the exact articulation and dynamic that you want. So let's start and see how it goes. So play along with me. This is our tempo for the quarter. Taka taka ta, taka di mi ta, taka di mi ta. Okay? So we're starting on the very, very beginning, taking 2 reps through everything. Let's see how it goes, because we need to make sure we can go from the repeats to the top, right? This is also important. So let's see how it's doing. Now, as I go, I'm going to be following exact dynamic and articulation. I'd like you to try the best you can to do the same, and we'll talk about it after. All right, let's do this. 1 and 2, 1 and... and back. Nice short at the end. So that's a little assessment. How did you do? What parts were hard for you? Obviously that one note I messed that one. That was hard for me. Obviously it's hard to do the poco rallentando right now because we have the metronome kind of pushing us along. But that's how roughly it should sound at 55. All right, so take out your pencils and we're gonna mark anywhere that we have special things we need to do that maybe didn't happen last time. So let's make sure our accents are circled at the end of the second line, the end of the 4th line. Okay, let's make sure our sforzando is circled at the very end, right? That's gonna have a really big, powerful moment. As well as end of measure 10, right? Another sforzando. So if you're having a hard time with the repeats, what you need to practice is going from the end of 10 back to the top. So from here, wait, look at that. You don't have to move at all. You're already there from the end of measure 10. You're already in position. So don't move anywhere to go back to the top. You just need to move your eyes. Unless you're memorizing this, which would be great. This is a great thing to memorize. It's very easily structured. Okay. So now we have to move on. Maybe measure the second ending is a little messy because you have that octave leap and you're not ready for it. So make sure you take time to expand your hand and let go. All right, let's keep going. So another area that might be difficult is the first ending here. And this might be another issue. Let's see how it works. Okay, very slight left hand adjustment to get from the first ending of the B section to the second half. Let's say it's measure 26. To get from there back, right hand doesn't move, but left hand needs to reset to third finger on G sharp. So make sure that's happening. Okay, good. And let's see from the second ending. Oh, right, second ending goes to the coda. So second ending. Okay, so we talked about how to play this before. Make sure you're getting your resets. I'm going to practice this. So kind of playing it as a chord everywhere. So what I was doing there, instead of going, I was just hitting the first, third, and fifth. So I can really land it. This might take some practice to go over here. So I want you to practice touching here, touch, play. Here, touch, play. And we have the third one. So it's up, down, up. So play, touch, play. So I'm landing just a moment before I need to play, and then playing down. Okay, this is really important to help us get the tempo up. So we can't bring the tempo up until we have all of these transitions figured out. And what's always going to help is just zeroing in, isolating the spot, and then you zoom out once it's good, once it's stable, and just feels comfortable. We're really looking, there's no perfect number of reps. At least 5 correct is pretty good. 7 is better. But really it's about how many times do I have to repeat it correctly before it gets comfortable. So first you have to make sure you're playing it right. And then you have to do that a couple times. And then you're able to start to build ease with it. And then you can actually really enjoy the music of it, which is what we want. We want this to be a fun piece, right? We want it to be exciting. And I want you to feel proud about your work on this piece and in how it's come together. So step 1, if you're not there yet, fix the transitions from the different sections going around. Step 2, really be making sure that these different dynamics are coming through, so that we're soft in the beginning, right? It's mysterious, kind of mischievous. Going and back down. Kind of like a little creepy mouse that like pops his head out and then back in. Okay, so it's like, boom, it's there, and then it's gone again. Okay. And the middle section, this is our strong section. Mysterious. So the second return to A really has the same dynamic things going on as the first section. Good. So keep working on smoothing out these edges. Okay, so 3 things for homework, right? We had the other 2 earlier in the video. Number 3, I want to hear all of arabesque at 50 to 55 BPM with really precise attention to dynamic and articulation, so lots of character. All right, great. If you're keeping up with these things, you're going to be in really good shape for the test. Please tune into the next video. The next assignment will be due on the 9th, so you may want to listen to that a couple of days early so that you're ready to go. And then I'll be back in on the 11th. We'll have our test on the 13th. Right, great job.